The folder was already open on her desk when he walked in. She had not planned that. She had not planned any of it. The folder had been sitting there since 7 that morning, one of 11 she was reviewing before the first candidate arrived at 9. His name was printed on the tab. Common enough. She had not connected it to anyone. But then the door opened, and the air in the room shifted in a way she could not explain and would not try to. His name was Daniel Calloway. 7 years ago, he had been everything. She did not move. She did not reach for the folder, did not adjust her blazer, did not make a single gesture that could be read as reaction. She had learned, through the kind of suffering that does not announce itself dramatically but simply sits in the chest for months, pressing, how to hold still inside a storm. Her hands stayed flat on the glass surface of the conference table. Her eyes rose to meet his the moment he crossed the threshold. He saw her at the same instant. His body did something it could not have rehearsed, a fractional hesitation, a half-step that stopped mid-motion before continuing forward. A flinch so contained and so brief that anyone else in the room would have missed it entirely. But she had spent 3 years memorizing how he moved. She caught it. "Mr. Calloway, please sit down." There were 2 other people in the room. Her head of HR, Patricia, composed, mid-50s, could read a room like a second language. Her operations director, James, already flipping open his notepad. Neither of them knew. To them, Daniel Calloway was candidate number 7, mid-30s. Strong portfolio. Applying for a senior position at a company that had been, for 3 years running, the fastest growing private firm in the region. A company called Lena Gray Consulting. Named, without ceremony, after its founder. Lena Gray had built this company in the way that only becomes possible when you have absolutely nothing else left to protect. She had been 25 when Daniel ended it. 2 months behind on rent in an apartment that smelled like old carpet and other people's cooking. A bank account containing $47. A professional network that amounted to a handful of LinkedIn connections she had never cultivated because she had spent 3 years quietly making herself small enough to fit inside his life. She had not collapsed. For approximately 6 days, she had wanted to with a fullness that frightened her. Then something shifted, quietly the way a bone heals. Without ceremony. She got a job. Then a second one. She freelanced at night on her kitchen floor because she had no desk, her laptop balanced on a cutting board, her notes written on the back of grocery receipts. Then 3 clients. Then an office above a dry cleaner, small enough that she could touch both walls with her arms outstretched. Then a staff of 2. Then 5. Then a waiting list. Then this, a building with her name on the lease, 14 employees, and a boardroom with floor-to-ceiling glass through which you could see the entire city laid flat and gleaming below. She had never, in 5 years, allowed herself to rehearse this moment. Now, sitting across from the man who had once defined the outer edges of her life, she understood for the first time that being unprepared was exactly the right condition. Because prepared would have been performance. And she was done performing for this particular audience. "Tell me about yourself," she said. "If you're watching this right now and something in your chest just tightened, subscribe. Turn on notifications. This story is not close to over." He did. His voice was measured and even, his posture controlled in the precise way of someone who has rehearsed calm without quite achieving it. He spoke about his decade in logistics management. 3 companies. Increasing responsibility. His most recent role ending 8 months ago in what he called a restructuring. He used the word carefully, the specific carefulness of someone who has practiced saying a painful thing without revealing how much it cost them. She listened without interrupting. She gave him nothing to read. Not warmth, not recognition, not the small involuntary nods that people offer without thinking to signal that the ground is solid. She simply received his words the way a wall receives sound. Beneath the table, her left thumb pressed gently against the center of her palm. A private anchor she had developed years ago during difficult client meetings. Cost nothing. Revealed nothing. Held everything steady. If you had been watching from outside the glass, and you could have been, the boardroom was designed for visibility, you would have seen a well-dressed woman conducting a professional interview. You would have noted nothing unusual, nothing strained. You would have been wrong. Because Lena Gray was doing something beneath the professional surface that required more active discipline than anything she had done in 5 years. She was deciding, in real time and in real pain, who she intended to be. Not who she had been. Who she intended to be. There is a difference, and the difference is everything. She had loved Daniel Calloway with the reckless, consuming completeness that is only possible when you have not yet fully understood your own value. She had been 22 when they met. Ambitious, smart, a little lost. She had looked at him and seen someone certain, and certainty at 22 is magnetic in a way that is almost indistinguishable from love. She followed him to a city that was not hers without articulating to herself that she was following anyone anywhere. For a while it was good, but slowly, so slowly that she could not identify the moment it began, the shape of the relationship changed. His comfort became the organizing principle of their shared life. His preferences mapped the territory of what was discussed and what was quietly not. Her ideas, the late-night ones, the ambitious ones, the ones that kept her awake because they felt real and urgent, and hers, were offered tentatively, received with measured enthusiasm, and gradually offered less frequently. She had not been unhappy. That was what she could never fully explain to the therapist she eventually saw. She had not been unhappy. She had been comfortable. And comfort, she came to understand much later, can be the most dangerous condition of all, because it does not feel like loss until long after everything has already been quietly given away. The morning he ended it, he was kind. That was the hardest part, not the ending but the kindness of it. He sat across from her at the kitchen table and said, evenly, that he thought she had become too dependent, that she had lost something in herself, that it wasn't working anymore. He said it the way people say things they have rehearsed, gently, but with the specific gentleness of someone who has already decided. He offered to let her stay in the apartment for a month while she sorted herself out. She left the same afternoon. She could not then have explained why. She could explain it now, sitting across from him 7 years later with a city beneath her and her name on a building. She left because staying would have meant accepting the version of herself he had just described. Dependent, diminished. And she was not yet sure who she was instead, but she knew that any version of herself that existed without his comfort as the ceiling had to be an expansion. What he had not known, what she had not known herself, not yet, was that she was not walking away from her life. She was walking toward it. The thing he had called dependency was not weakness. It was capacity. Her full and extraordinary capacity for commitment and focus and devotion, which had simply been aimed at the wrong thing. Patricia asked about Daniel's management philosophy. He answered well. James asked about cross-departmental communication. Daniel's response was specific, detailed, backed by an example that demonstrated both strategic thinking and the ability to manage conflict without escalation. He was, Lena noted with full professional objectivity, a genuinely strong candidate. Then she asked her own question. Precise. Technical. And something happened. Daniel paused, not a thinking pause, a different kind. Then he said quietly, "You still tap your thumb against your palm when you're listening." The room went silent. Patricia looked up. James stopped writing. Lena's thumb, which had been pressing against her palm, froze. She did not move. She did not acknowledge it. But beneath the surface, something cracked. Because he was right. She had done that for years. And she had not realized until he said it that she had never stopped. Daniel did not smile. He did not apologize. He simply held her gaze for a moment too long, and then continued answering the question as if nothing had happened. That was the first destabilization. She did not react, but she felt it. And she knew, with a certainty that settled into her chest like cold water, that he had not walked into this room as a passive man seeking charity. He had walked in as someone who still remembered the blueprint of her. The interview continued. She asked 2 more questions. He answered both without stumbling. When she asked about the Merton supply chain redesign referenced in his portfolio, 18 months of work, significant efficiency gains across a 3-state distribution network, something shifted in his expression. Not relief, a kind of cautious recalibration. That project required building almost everything from scratch, he said. The existing systems were so embedded that you couldn't improve them. You had to take them apart entirely. Start from the foundation. He was not talking about the supply chain. She knew that. She still did not acknowledge it. But then he added, quietly, almost as an afterthought, I thought about you the whole time I was doing it. Patricia's pen stopped. James looked up again. Lena said nothing. Her expression did not change. But her thumb pressed harder against her palm. I don't mean that the way it sounded, Daniel said, and for the first time his composure slipped. Just a fraction. I mean, you were the one who taught me that sometimes you have to burn something down before you can rebuild it right. I never taught you that, Lena said. Her voice was level. You taught me that. When you left. The silence that followed was not a normal silence. It was the kind of silence that happens when 3 people in a room understand that something has just been said that cannot be unsaid, and only 2 of them know exactly how much it cost. Daniel looked down at his hands. When he looked up again, his eyes were different. Softer. More dangerous. I know, he said. That was the second destabilization. You feel that? That tension in your chest? Subscribe now. Because what happens next, I promise you, you will not see coming. When the interview concluded, Lena stood, extended her hand, thanked him for his time, and told him they would be in touch within the week. Her handshake was firm and brief. His lasted 1 fraction of a second longer than was standard. His thumb brushed the inside of her wrist. She did not flinch, but she felt it. After he left, Patricia said he was a strong candidate. James said the same, but added carefully, there was something personal in that room. Lena said nothing. She gathered her notes and walked out. She drove home that evening through streets that felt slightly outside themselves. She sat in her car in the underground garage of her building for nearly 7 minutes before getting out. She was not upset. She was not triumphant. She was something without a ready name, a state of being profoundly, uncomfortably awake. She had believed, for years, that the building had replaced the wound. She understood now, in the fluorescent stillness of a concrete garage, that covering and healing are not the same thing. You can build a skyscraper over rubble, and the rubble is still there, patient, waiting for the one specific weight that will make it felt again. She went upstairs. She made tea she did not drink. She stood at the window of an apartment that was entirely hers, chosen by her, paid for by her, decorated by her, and she allowed herself the honesty she had been holding at arm's length all day. Not about Daniel, about herself, about what seeing him had revealed, that she was not yet as finished with it as she had believed. The next morning, she called Patricia before the office opened. The Callaway application, she said. I need to make you aware of a prior personal connection. Nothing that affects my professional assessment. But you should know. The pause. Do you want to step back from that portion of the decision? She did not answer quickly. She gave it the full weight it deserved. No, she said. I'll stay in. This was the moment. Not the interview. Not the phone call that would come later. This one, quiet, private, witnessed only by a woman on the other end of a phone line, was where it was decided. Not the outcome. The character of the decision. She reviewed all 11 candidates over the following 3 days with the same rubric, the same criteria. She made her final recommendation to the board on Friday morning. Daniel Callaway ranked second. The candidate she recommended was a woman named Sophie Chin. 31 years old. 6 years experience across 2 firms. A quality in her interview answers that Lena had underlined in her evaluation notes with a single phrase. does not require external validation to trust her own analysis. She had recognized it the instant Sophie said it, the way you recognize, in another person, the quality you most painfully had to develop in yourself. The board approved the recommendation without objection. She made the call to Daniel herself. He answered on the second ring. She told him clearly, without excess, that after full evaluation, they had moved forward with another candidate. She told him his application had been exceptional. She said she hoped they would have the opportunity to consider him again. A silence. Then, Lena. Just her name. 2 syllables. No question attached. Just the sound of a person saying a name they have said 10,000 times, and hearing, in the saying of it, how thoroughly the coordinates had shifted. Yes, she said. I knew when I walked in. His voice was different now, stripped of the interview register. It was the voice she remembered. She had not expected that to cost her anything. It did. I saw your name on the building before I went through security. I sat in the lobby for 11 minutes before they called me up. I almost left. She said nothing. I needed this job, Lena. Not a plea, a fact. 8 months out. I've had to move. It's been a different kind of year. He stopped. Then he said something she did not expect. I almost didn't survive the year after you left either. The line between them hummed. Lena closed her eyes. She had not asked for this. She had not wanted this. But she could not unhear it. What do you mean by that? She asked. Her voice was quieter than she intended. Exactly what I said. His breathing was uneven now. I told myself I was fine. I told myself I made the right decision. You were too much. You needed too much. That's what I believed. The pause. Then you were gone. And I walked into the apartment, the one you left, and I stood in the kitchen where I ended it. And I realized I had spent 3 years convincing myself that your devotion was dependency because it was easier than admitting I was terrified you were becoming more than me. Lena's hand tightened on the phone. I never said that to anyone, he said. I'm saying it to you now. Not because I want the job. I'm saying it because you asked, 7 years ago, in that kitchen, and I didn't have an answer. I have one now. She did not speak. She could not. You were never too much, he said. I was too small. That was the third destabilization. Subscribe. I mean it. Because what she says next, you need to hear this. She let the silence stretch. Not as a weapon. Because she needed it. Then she said, Daniel. Yeah. I believe you. A sharp intake of breath on his end. I believe that you believe that, she continued. But here's what I also know. You had 3 years to say that to me when it could have changed something. You had 3 years to see me, really see me, before I had to lose everything to see myself. And you didn't. He said nothing. I'm not saying that to punish you, she said. I'm saying it because it's true. And because I think you need to hear it. Not for me. For whoever comes after me. There hasn't been anyone after you, he said quietly. That landed. She did not want it to land. It landed anyway. That's not my responsibility, she said. It wasn't then. It isn't now. Another silence. Longer this time. I know, he said finally. His voice cracked. Just once. I know. She could have stopped there. She should have stopped there. But she was not the same woman who had left that kitchen 7 years ago. That woman had been afraid of honesty because honesty had always been used against her. This woman, the one at the desk in the city she had earned, with her name on the building, this woman had built her entire life on the foundation of not being afraid anymore. I did love you, she said. Not the way I thought I did. Not the way you think I did. But I loved you. And I grieved you. And then I built something. Not because of you. Not to spite you. Because I was always going to build something. I just needed you to get out of the way so I could start. He exhaled, a long, unsteady breath. That's the most honest thing anyone has ever said to me, he said. I know, she said. That's the problem. Neither of them spoke for a long moment. Then Daniel said, "Can I ask you something? Not about the job." "Okay." "When I walked in, when you saw me, what did you feel?" She considered lying. She considered deflecting. She considered ending the call. She did none of those things. "Like the ground under my feet was not as solid as I had convinced myself it was," she said. "And like I hated you for that. And like I didn't hate you at all. And like I had spent 5 years building a city on top of a fault line, and you just reminded me where the fault line was." "I'm sorry," he said. I know it's too late. But I'm sorry." "I know you are," she said. "That's why this is hard." Another pause. Then she asked something she had not intended to ask. "What would you have done differently if you could go back?" His answer came immediately, like he had been waiting years to be asked. "I would have stayed," he said. "Not because it would have been easy. It wouldn't have been. You were becoming something I didn't understand. You were becoming bigger than the container I had built for us. And instead of expanding the container, I walked away. I would have expanded the container." Lena pressed her palm flat against her desk. The glass was cool. Grounding. "That's a beautiful answer," she said. "And I think you mean it. But here's what I also know, Daniel. If you had stayed, I might not have become this. I might have kept making myself smaller to fit. Not because you asked me to. Because I would have asked it of myself. I would have traded my expansion for your comfort. And I would have done it willingly. And I would have resented you for it eventually. And we would have ended anyway. Just slower. More painfully." He was crying. She could hear it in his breathing. "So you're saying it was always going to end," he said. "I'm saying it ended exactly when it needed to. For both of us. You got to learn that being too much is not a flaw in someone else. And I got to learn that I was never the problem. The container was." She waited. "I should let you go," he said finally. "Yes," she said. "You should." "Lena." "Yes." "The watch." She froze. "You still wear it," he said. "I saw it. In the interview. When you reached for your water. The silver one. The one I gave you for your 23rd birthday." She looked down at her wrist. She had not even realized she was wearing it. She had put it on that morning without thinking, the way you put on any watch. It was just there. It had always been just there. "I didn't know," she said. And that was the truth. "I know," he said. "That's why it matters. If you're not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? This story is not over. The ending? You are not ready." She ended the call. She placed the phone face down on her desk. She looked at her hands, steady hands, unhurried, and then at the watch on her wrist. The silver one. The one she had worn every day for 7 years without once thinking about why. She took it off. She held it in her palm. It was warm from her skin. She did not throw it away. That would have been performance. That would have been the cinematic version of closure, the one that looks good but means nothing. Instead, she placed it in her desk drawer. Not hidden. Not displayed. Just stored. The way you store something that has weight but no longer has urgency. She looked up at the city through the glass. The skyline she had learned piece by piece, neighborhood by neighborhood, in the years since she arrived with nothing and no one and the unformed certainty that she was meant for more. She did not feel triumph. She did not feel grief. She did not feel that specifically cinematic satisfaction that stories promise when the scales finally balance. She felt clean. And she also felt something else, something she had not expected. She felt sad. Not the kind of sad that breaks you. The kind of sad that comes from seeing something end, not with violence, not with revenge, but with the quiet, irreversible recognition that the person you used to love is still a person. Still complicated. Still capable of saying the right thing 7 years too late. That was the part no one wrote in the revenge stories. The part where victory and grief occupy the same room. The part where you win, and winning feels less like a parade and more like putting a watch in a drawer. She pulled Sophie Chen's onboarding documents toward her and uncapped her pen. The city beyond the glass was the same city it had always been. Indifferent to individual stories, oblivious to the private weights people carry across its geography. It did not know what had happened in this office this week. It did not know about the apartment with the mildew smell and the $47. About the kitchen floor and the cutting board desk. About the long nights when the numbers didn't work and she worked on them anyway, alone. She signed her name at the bottom of the page. Her signature had changed over the years, steadier now. More deliberate. The handwriting of someone who had stopped needing to prove the signature was legitimate. She did not think about Daniel Calloway again that afternoon. But that night, alone in her apartment, the city spread out below her like a map of somewhere she had already crossed. She thought about him once. Just once. She thought about what he had said, the watch. She thought about how she had worn it every single day for 7 years without ever asking herself why. And she thought about how the most dangerous things are not the ones we hold onto consciously, but the ones we carry without even knowing we are carrying them. She did not cry. She did not call him back. She did not take the watch out of the drawer. She simply sat with the weight of it, the weight of what it means to build a life so thoroughly that you don't even notice the small relics you've been dragging behind you, and then she went to sleep. The next morning, she walked into the office. She reviewed Sophie's onboarding plan. She approved the quarterly budget. She drank her coffee black, the way she had learned to like it because no one had been there to make it for her. At 11 a.m., Patricia knocked on her door. "Sophie starts Monday," Patricia said. "Also, Daniel Calloway called this morning. He wanted me to pass along a message." Lena looked up. "What message?" Patricia hesitated. "He said, tell her I meant it. Every word. And tell her I hope she never takes the watch out of the drawer. Not because it should stay there. Because I hope she stops needing to check whether it's still there at all." Lena sat back in her chair. Patricia waited. "Thank you," Lena said finally. "That's all." Patricia nodded and left. Lena looked at her bare wrist. The skin where the watch had rested was slightly paler than the rest of her arm. A faint line. An echo of something that had been there for years. She did not open the drawer. She did not need to, because Daniel, for the first time in 7 years, had finally understood something. The goal was never to forget. The goal was to stop needing to remember on purpose. She turned back to her computer. She had a proposal to review by noon. The city continued below, indifferent and luminous, full of stories it had no idea it was holding. And somewhere in it, a man who had once defined the ceiling of Lena Gray's life was learning the particular and irreversible weight of walking into a room and discovering that the person you underestimated had become the person you answer to, not because she demanded it, but because she had become someone worth answering to. He did not get the job. She had not made sure of it. She had simply done her job, the same job by the same standards she had always done, and the result was what it was. But the story was not about the job. The story was about the watch. The drawer. The bare wrist. The phone call where she said "I believe you" and that doesn't change anything in the same breath. The 3 destabilizations. The one question she asked that she had not intended to ask. The one answer he gave that she had not expected to believe. The story was about what happens when poetic justice is not a scene, but a condition. When the victory is not over them. When the victory is simply you, standing where you are, being who you are, having done the work you did, and still, somehow, carrying enough tenderness to feel sad when it's over. She capped her pen. She gathered the documents. She stood and crossed to the window. Her bare wrist rested against the glass. The city was still there. So was she. And the watch, the silver one from a birthday 7 years ago, sat in a drawer. Not hidden. Not displayed. Just stored. The way you store something that has weight, but no longer has urgency. That, and nothing more dramatic than that, was the whole of it. That was the justice. Subscribe. Turn on notifications. And comment below, because I really want to know, What would you have done with the watch?